new employee and how to archive and unarchive employees. So that was our first section within Toast Web. Next, we're going to talk about taxes. So again, when it comes to taxes, these are going to be specific to all of your locations, depending on where your location is in the United States. So as we all have different taxes. So we can talk about that and we can view that again in the back end of Toast Web through the menus section. So a couple below employees here, we see menus. And this is where we can click directly into the menu section and scroll on down to this settings option. And that's where we will manage our tax rates. So we can go in and we can click tax rates here. And this is the page in which we're able to go in and add a new tax rate. So maybe you are the employee responsible for creating the tax rate for your specific area and your specific state and location. The reason that this is grayed out here is because of the permissions. So we talked about permissions at the employee level. Permissions run through Toast, and they are going to be what you have access to perform and what you maybe don't have access to perform. So my employee, Maggie Manager, does not have access to the master sales tax. That is because the owner is going to be the Wetzel's Pretzels group. So that's a higher level than my employee has access to perform. So if we ever see anything grayed out, whether it be through taxes, building out your menu, maybe menu edit pricing, it's because we simply just don't have those permissions. Whereas some of you might be able to see, this not grayed out. So totally depending on the permissions. Let's say that you did want to add in a new tax rate for your location. We can use this plus add tax rate here. So we will go ahead and select that together. Now, this is going to walk you through how to create a brand new tax rate. So once we follow the steps here, it will be a little bit more self-explanatory, but we'll go through those together. So this is where we can name our tax rate. So depending on the location, I've seen a lot of customers and restaurants say maybe like New York tax rate or whatever state you're in, if you want to make it more specific to the name and your location and what type of tax rate you're creating. You can do this here. And then we're able to choose the type. So maybe you need to create a percent, a tax rate percent, or maybe a fixed dollar amount. We have the option of tax tables as well as a disabled tax rate. So I think most commonly we see that percentage, so we can go through this one together. So let's say maybe we need to add, I don't know, a 4% tax rate. We can go ahead and add in our percentage here, and then choose if this is going to default to our entire menu or not. So will all of our items at Wetzel's Pretzels default to this maybe New York State tax rate? We can choose yes, or we can choose no, depending on the tax that you're creating. Scrolling down here, we have our takeout tax. So some of us are fortunate enough, or maybe not, to live in a state that requires an alternative tax rate. So if that is something that's relevant to you and your location, then you'll be able to enable that tax rate. And just like we did above, add in our specific takeout tax rate here. So maybe we don't have to fill that out. Maybe we do, but we have the option here. Similar to that, we have our advanced settings. So maybe the state in which you are the GM or an employee at requires those different rounding options for your state tax laws. Toast gives us the option to very easily choose those rounding options here if we need to do so. So we can go in and we can adjust these however we see fit based off of rounding in your area, as well as a tip calculator here and a tax calculator, excuse me. So this is where we can go in and we can calculate taxes based off of menu item prices, if necessary, if you would like to do so. So that is our tax rate page. We always like to say at Toast, we are Toast experts. We are not tax experts. I know I do not I do not take pride in knowing much about taxes. So I know how to enable you and help you set those up, but we will not be able to necessarily give you those correct numbers. So it's for the best. But this is where we can set up our taxes. All right, we're going to take a look at one more section in the back end of Toast Web before Nicholas does some live demonstrations for everyone on an emulator.